13 Ways to Recognize Envy and Falsehood in Others. Stoicism. Welcome back to the channel, fellow Stoics and truth seekers. In a world filled with masks and hidden agendas, the ability to recognize envy and falsehood in others isn't just a philosophical exercise, it's a vital life skill. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Harsh, perhaps? But the Stoics weren't pessimists. They were realists who understood human nature. Today we're exploring 13 powerful ways the ancient Stoics taught us to recognize envy and falsehood in others. These insights will help you navigate relationships with wisdom rather than naivety, strength rather than suspicion. Before we begin, remember the Stoic principle. We cannot control others' actions, only our response to them. This video isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about developing discernment. Let's begin our journey toward clearer perception. Number 1, watch for excessive flattery. Seneca warned, "Flattery is pleasant only to those who look for it." The first sign of potential envy or falsehood is excessive flattery. The envious person often uses flattery as camouflage, while genuine compliments come at appropriate moments. Excessive praise, especially when undeserved, should raise questions. A Stoic perspective teaches us to value truth over pleasant falsehoods. Notice when someone's praise feels disproportionate or comes with an underlying agenda. Consider this scenario. A colleague constantly praises your ideas in public, but subtly undermines them in private meetings. The Stoics would recognize this pattern as a form of falsehood born from envy. Remember Epictetus's wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you detect flattery, don't react with anger. Simply make a mental note and adjust your trust accordingly. Number 2, pay attention to inconsistent behavior. Words show a man's mind, but actions show his character, taught Epictetus. One of the clearest signs of envy and falsehood is inconsistency between words and actions. The Stoics emphasize judging people by what they do, not what they say. When someone consistently says one thing but does another, this misalignment reveals an internal conflict. Perhaps they envy your position while claiming to celebrate your success. Marcus Aurelius advised us to waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Those who harbor envy often talk about virtues they don't practice. Make a habit of noting whether someone's actions align with their stated values and promises. This discernment isn't about judgment, but about protecting your peace of mind. Number 3, notice those who cannot celebrate your success. Envy is the antagonist of the fortunate, Epictetus observed. A telling sign of envy is an inability to genuinely celebrate others' achievements. Watch for these reactions to your good news, changing the subject quickly, diminishing your achievement, making the conversation about themselves, offering backhanded compliments. The Stoics understood that a virtuous person finds joy in others' good fortune. As Seneca put it, "He who rejoices in the prosperity of another rejoices in his own." When you share good news, observe who genuinely celebrates with you versus who seems pained by your happiness. The latter reveals the presence of envy. Remember, this observation isn't meant to condemn others. Envy is a human emotion that even the wisest struggle with. Rather, it helps you understand the true nature of your relationships. Number 4, recognize the power of projection. When you point one finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. This modern saying reflects ancient Stoic wisdom about psychological projection. Often what others accuse you of reveals more about them than about you. The person constantly suspicious of others' dishonesty may themselves struggle with truthfulness. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." Notice when someone consistently attributes negative qualities to you or others without evidence. This pattern often signals projection. They're seeing in you what they fear or dislike in themselves. This insight isn't meant to make you defensive, but rather to help you respond with compassion while maintaining appropriate boundaries. Number 5, be wary of information manipulators. The nearer a man comes to knowing himself, the less likely he is to be deceived by others, observed Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Information manipulators use several techniques: selective disclosure of facts, presenting opinions as universal truths, using emotional language to cloud logical thinking, creating false urgency. Epictetus taught that we should distinguish between what is in our control and what isn't. Information is often outside our control, but our judgment about that information remains within our power. When someone shares information, ask yourself, what might they be leaving out? What's their potential motivation? This isn't about becoming paranoid, but about developing a healthy skepticism. The Stoic mind seeks to see things as they are, not as others want us to perceive them. Number 6, observe how they treat others. You can discover what your enemy fears most by observing the means he uses to frighten others, Aurelius noted. How someone treats others, especially those who can offer them nothing in return, reveals their true character. Pay attention to how they speak about people when they're not present, their treatment of service workers, their behavior toward those with less power or status, their response when others succeed. The Stoics believed character is consistent. While people may hide their true nature from you initially, they rarely maintain the facade with everyone in their life. As Seneca advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. By observing how people treat others, you gain insight into how they might eventually treat you. Number 7, watch for the need to control. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control, taught Epictetus. Those who haven't learned this fundamental Stoic lesson often seek to control others, instead of managing their own reactions. Signs of controlling behavior include emotional manipulation through guilt or anger, demanding constant updates on your whereabouts, isolating you from other relationships, making their approval conditional. The envious person seeks control because they fear losing something to you. The dishonest person controls information to maintain their narrative. Epictetus reminds us, make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. This wisdom helps us recognize when others are overstepping natural boundaries. Number 8, recognize false urgency. True good never needs time to ripen. It is complete on the very day of origin, Seneca observed. False urgency is a common tactic used by those with hidden agendas. When someone pressures you to make decisions without adequate reflection, question their motives. The Stoics valued deliberation and careful judgment. They understood that wisdom rarely emerges from hasty decisions. Watch for phrases like, "You need to decide right now. This opportunity won't last. Everyone else has already agreed. If you really cared, you wouldn't hesitate." Genuine opportunities rarely disappear with careful consideration. As Marcus Aurelius advised, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. When you feel rushed, remember the Stoic practice of pausing before responding. Number 9, beware of those who divide to conquer. We are born for cooperation, not for competition, Marcus Aurelius reminded us. Those who harbor envy often seek to isolate their targets. By creating division, they prevent the unity that might threaten their position. Signs of divisive behavior include sharing secrets about others to you, creating suspicion between friends, passing messages between parties rather than encouraging direct communication, highlighting differences rather than common ground. The Stoics valued community and cooperation. They understood that humans flourish in supportive relationships, not isolated competition. When you notice someone consistently creating division, consider whether envy might be motivating their behavior. As Aurelius advised, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Number 10, note their relationship with truth. If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, And the truth never harmed anyone, Marcus Aurelius wrote. Observe how someone responds when corrected or presented with new information. Do they adapt their views in light of evidence? Become defensive or angry? Dismiss contradictory information outright? Change the subject rather than acknowledge error? The Stoics valued truth above comfort. They understood that growth requires acknowledging when we're wrong. As Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Those who cannot admit mistakes often compensate through falsehood. Pay attention to small lies. They often signal a willingness to distort reality when convenient. Number 11. Watch for emotional inconsistency. To be even-minded is the greatest virtue, taught Zeno. Emotional volatility, especially when it seems calculated rather than genuine, can signal manipulation. Pay attention to dramatic mood swings that align with their needs, emotional responses that seem performative, anger that appears and disappears too quickly, excessive emotional reactions to minor issues. The Stoics practiced emotional consistency, not suppression of feelings, but proportionate responses to events. As Seneca advised, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. Those who immediately escalate emotions often do so strategically rather than authentically. Genuine emotions follow logical patterns. Manufactured ones serve agendas. Number 12. Observe their response to your boundaries. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with rough and coarse clothing, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" Seneca suggested this practice to strengthen resilience. Similarly, setting boundaries is a practice that reveals others' true nature. When you establish a reasonable boundary, notice, do they respect it consistently? Do they test it repeatedly? Do they make you feel guilty for having limits? Do they retaliate when you enforce boundaries? The envious person often resents boundaries because they limit access to what they covet. The dishonest person dislikes boundaries because they restrict manipulation. As Epictetus taught, make it your business to draw the line between what is and is not in your power. Those who respect this distinction respect you. Number 13. Trust your intuition. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are, Marcus Aurelius advised. After practicing all previous principles, the final guide is your own intuition, that sense that something isn't right, even when you can't articulate exactly why. The Stoics valued rational analysis, but they also recognized the wisdom of our instinctive reactions. These intuitions often process subtle patterns our conscious mind hasn't fully recognized. As Epictetus noted, first learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. Similarly, first acknowledge your intuition, then decide whether to trust it. This isn't about making accusations based on feelings, but about honoring your internal wisdom while seeking additional evidence. Your discomfort around certain people may be your subconscious, recognizing patterns of falsehood, or envy that your conscious mind hasn't yet assembled. Conclusion. These 13 Stoic insights for recognizing envy and falsehood aren't about becoming cynical. They're about seeing clearly. Remember what Marcus Aurelius taught. When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety, that they should hold any particular opinion about you. The Stoics understood that envy and falsehood reveal more about their bearers than their targets. By recognizing these patterns, we don't condemn others. We simply choose our associations more wisely. We respond with understanding rather than naivety, compassion rather than victimhood. As Epictetus would remind us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If this video helped you gain clarity about relationships in your life, please give it a thumbs up. For more Stoic wisdom applied to modern challenges, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Share in the comments. Which of these 13 signs resonated most with your experience? Remember, the path of Stoicism isn't about suspicion, it's about wisdom. not about judgment but discernment. Until next time, fellow Stoics, memento mori. Remember that life is short, and choose your companions wisely.